All right, ladies, gentlemen, folks, welcome to the Pop Culture Power Show's panel here on Gregg Berger, and I want to say thank you for being here and being a part of this. Gregg Berger has been a part of our lives since before we even understood what that was. Like every voice in every cartoon show you've ever seen, he's probably done some aspect of it or something. Not to mention, of course, Odie from Garfield.
Wow!
Oh my gosh, absolutely wonderful. And of course, you know, it goes without saying that he is the voice, the thunderous, booming voice of Grimlock from, of course, the Transformers.
Me no bozo, me king!
Oh, that's amazing. And so I just like for everyone to give him a nice, round, warm, happy applause that we have this wonderful gentleman here with us today. All right, so the question that I'm going to start off with is this. What led you to acting? What was the bug that bit you, that you were like, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to perform and do this as a job for the rest of my life?
Well, it's kind of a multi... Am I to use this?
Yes,
or?
if you don't mind.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, you're good.
Hot? Nope. Hot? Yes. Okay. It's a multi-tiered answer. I kind of was always smitten by, from the time I was young, with how people sounded compared to how they looked. And I was, even as a young kid, I would engage strangers in conversation to see if I could guess how they sounded. More often than not, I was kind of right, or I was wrong, and I was entertained equally regardless. So that was sort of an interest from early on. But I was a normal kid, teenager, everything, and enjoyed all the benefits of just sort of growing up. When I went to college, I was an English major, but I had a friend who was in the theater department. This was at Colgate University, and he said they're going outside the department to cast this English drawing room farce. And he said, you always like go into dialects when you're telling a story in the dining room or whatever. He said, he dragged me to the audition. And I got cast, and the head of the theater department said, what are you doing in the English department? I said, I guess I'm going to teach or pre-law, or I don't know what I'm doing. And he said, well, don't stop doing what you're doing. But he said, you're exactly the kind of performer that we like working with. So he said, I'm encouraging you to expand your boundaries and parameters to include theater. So I happened in college, and the more I did, the more I loved, and the more I loved, the more I did, and so I kind of let my direction find me, which I think everyone should do. I don't think you get to decide what the future chapters of your book are, not if you're wise. So by all means, sort of plan what you think your journey is, but let your direction find you if it chooses to. It's much more fun that way. And there's surprises along the way, and so let the surprises surprise you. A long answer to a short question, but kind of that's the origin story.
Oh, it's a wonderful origin story. And good advice as well. So for my next question, like, obviously you were performing in front of a group or an audience in terms of the plays or whatever that you did then. What led to the voice work in terms of, getting you to that particular part of acting?
Then, now, and always, characters that I've done have been voice-driven, always. I think about the voice first, and once I figure out what a character sounds like, the rest sort of falls into line. And it led me to get myself demos that I began to do myself. I'm fumbling over the answer because I was working with a theater company in St. Louis, and I thought, you know what? People use their voice for commercials and animation and anime and interactive and all this stuff. And I thought, why don't I try to get myself heard? There's a longer answer to this question, and that's the other reason I'm fumbling. I want to make sure I use the right words. I owe so much of my success to this mixture of sort of naivete and stupidity and optimism. I thought, I'm going to just make a demo tape and take it around to advertising agencies. I was in St. Louis, Missouri by that time. And so I did, and I got a tape recorder at a yard sale, and I opened up magazines and took copy out of the magazines, and I had a old record player, you could hear the needle drops on the demo, and I made this tape. And I took it around to advertising agencies. Believe it or not, there were some very good-sized advertising agencies in St. Louis, Missouri. And I thought, maybe something will happen. And in fact, something did. I got a call from this guy who I thanked for the rest of my life, the rest of his life. He's no longer with us. But he called me and he said, I heard the tape that you dropped off. He said, and when I heard it, I thought I had to meet you. So I went in, I thought, look at me, look what I've done. And I went in, he had me come in at the end of his business day. He said, I didn't want to have you in during normal hours. He said, that's the worst.
Here, let's switch out.
I really want you to hear this.
Yes.
He said, that is the worst tape I've ever heard. He said, but you have a really interesting voice, and I really think you could do something with it. He said, here's what I want to do for you. He said, I want you to come to, he said, I have a lot of advertising time booked. And he said, I normally have some time left over at the end of sessions, which run not the full amount of time that I booked. He said, come in, listen to how it's done by professionals. And he said, I'll throw some copy at you at the end, and we'll get you something credible without needle drops and magazine copy and all of this absolutely unprofessional stuff, which is not serving your interests, I promise you. And so we did, and I ended up with a very credible demo, and he actually submitted me for some things. It's like if you don't put yourself out there, nothing happens.
Right.
If you don't risk anything, there's no reward. There's a larger takeaway from this story, which is why I'm sharing it. His name was Al Ages, and it changed everything. A number of things changed everything for me. But if you don't show up, if you don't put yourself out there, and if you don't risk sort of making a fool of yourself at various times when you either create opportunity for yourself or you run the risk of opportunity making itself available to you, then it doesn't. It just goes by like another moment in your life. Can I go on?
Please, yes.
Right. I was in a show in Los Angeles. I was the understudy in the show, and the night came when I went on. Somebody's car broke down on the way to the theater. It was a lead role, and I thought, I'll never go on. I don't even know why I'm doing this. I'm understudying. No one will ever see me. That's not why you do it. The play's the thing. I did it because it was a phenomenal play. Carol Churchill play called Cloud Nine. Beautiful theater, big theater, wonderful opportunity. But I thought I would never go on. But I did. In the audience that night that I went on was Gordon Hunt, who was doing all of the feature directing at Hanna-Barbera, Helen Hunt's father.
Oh, wow.
And he came backstage, and he asked the stage manager to get me so that he could say, he knew I was on, he knew I was the understudy, and I came out, and he said, he just thought what I did was fantastic, and that if I was as versatile as what he had just seen on stage, that they should know about me at Hanna-Barbera. I felt my life go into slow motion. This is in the same category of opportunity. And I thought, if I really, all this happened in my head. I thought, if I let this opportunity go by, he'll forget. If I just say thank you, he'll forget this by the time he gets to his car, and it'll just go by. So I said, you've had my demo for a couple of months. If you could move it from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile, I'd love to be doing what you're doing. Well, he said, okay. And he said, boy, you got a lot of nerve, huh? And I said, normally no, and often at my own expense, but if you're saying what you're saying, then I'm saying what I'm saying. Well, he had me in less than a week later, peripheral role, and he told the story. He had me in again less than a week after that for what was then an episode of what they were calling the New Jetsons. I played Curly Quasar. I had a blind date with Judy Jetson. My God, the episode still airs, and I became part of the Jetsons' legacy. He seated me next to Mel Blanc. I thought I could die happy that day. You know, and all because I didn't let the moment go by. You know, I didn't mistake it for anything other than what it was, which was an opportunity. And so I'm paying it forward. I'm giving you the gift of that experience. And I still live my life with that same credo. I just saw a meme on social media. It was a picture of Beethoven, and it said, to play a wrong note is insignificant. To play without passion is inexcusable. So, you know, play it with passion. Don't worry about the wrong notes. They don't matter.
All right, so as we wipe our tears from our face, for that inspiration.
Oh, I'm sorry. What a buzzkill.
Oh, thank you. You don't realize what it's done. But so since we are here at a comic book convention, and you mean that's the inspiration has been set, let's talk about Odie and Grimlock. Let's talk about Odie first. Was Odie first or was Grimlock first?
It was neck and neck.
Oh, wow.
Very close. I really think Grimlock by a nose or a very sharp tooth.
All right, so let's get into that. In terms of, did you go for Grimlock in particular, or did you just show up and let's see what you got? I mean, how did all that set itself up?
Actually, I had met Wally Burr, the director of Transformers and G.I. Joe, on a show. I think it was the first animated series I had ever done, was The Littles. Nice, thank you.
He was the dad.
I was the dad. It was straight down the middle. It was my young, straight ahead voice, and Wally Burr also. Wally Burr saw Cloud9, the same play I was talking about, and he said, I had no idea, because that play is based on jumping in and out of character and all over the stage. And he said, I'm working on 2 new projects, one G.I. Joe and one Transformers. And he said, we're looking for people who are very multi-voice and very versatile. And he said, I'm going to keep you in mind for everything. So Wally, to his credit, used to put just batches of characters on the table. And he would say, pick 3 that you think you're right for. And so you'd sort through things and pick. And I was very fortunate on both shows. My gosh, we were so busy. It was like you would always be in a studio on a day, and then you'd have to be somewhere else and back and forth. But for Grimlock in particular, he called me personally, and he said, Hasbro loves you for Grimlock. He said, but there's some concern about whether you can maintain and sustain that character. It's a real tonsil buster. What you turned in the audition, seems like they want to make sure that you're not going to, punk out after the audition. I said, you put me in, coach, and I will hit it out of the park. I'll wrap my tonsils around it. I'll make it work. I promise. And I did, and I do. And I think I'm a better actor for it. I think I'm a better voice for it. I think I've found ways to go to the voice gym and make myself stronger in all ways. And also, I know when to shut up. I know how to economize and not overuse my voice, even though I'm a blabbermouth, as you can tell. I know how to economize. I know how to be protective about the things that deserve protecting. Anyway, that's probably not even the question you asked me.
That's okay. Keep going. You're good.
But so there were the G.I. Joe characters, and I'm Spirit, who's very close to my heart, and Firefly, who's close to my heart in a different way, and Cutter and Ripcord and Long Haul, who didn't join his outfit to be no dump truck, although I do get to be part of Devastator, and that's cool, and Skyfire, who became Jetfire, and Outback, and it was just, like voice camp. We were all rewarded for being multi-voice, and so many careers were launched during G.I. Joe and Transformers. People I've known all my life, and we spent so much time in the green room and running back and forth between Wally Burr North and Wally Burr South, and that was the 80s. It was like golden age of animation, and we were so busy, and it was kind of like the golden age of radio revisited, just because there was always 12 things waiting, and it just there was a fantastic sense of continuity about all of it, and it's just I treasure it, and I will treasure it for my entire lifetime. And now...
Go ahead, yeah, give him a round of applause.
Sure, I'll pause. I'm coaching a lot of young next generation actors, and I tell them, I really, in this age, and particularly post-COVID age, so much is done in isolation and alienation. It's very rare to have an ensemble recording of anything. But everything we did in those days was ensemble recording. We were all in the same sandbox, It was that energy was contagious. And if it was Garfield, it was contagious, fun, stupid, silly, smart energy. If it was Transformers, it was galactic battle. It was urgent. It was all the marbles, every minute. And G.I. Joe, for a different reason, it was epic battle. Storm Shadow Spirit or whatever, they were very, very clear-cut tales with everything at stake. Now I meet adults who military careers, and they credit the spark of what led them in a direction to G.I. Joe. I've met civil engineers, highly technically skilled people they loved their Transformers so much that they started drawing schematics at very young ages, and that sent them in a direction. So, nobody knows the reach of things we do, and in those cases, at conventions, I've met people that come to say thank you. It sort of sent them in a direction that changed their trajectory. It's just fantastic.
So I'll just mention something really quickly here while you're taking a breath. Y'all remember U.S. Acres?
Yeah.
Orson.
Wait, you're afraid of everything made? I've never seen anything like it.
I told you the voice of your childhood right here. Right here. All right, for our next question. Jeez, that's amazing. is there anybody that you ever wanted to play, like a voice that you had a hankering for that maybe you never quite got to do?
The question comes up, and I'm so grateful for everything I do. I don't spend any time seriously thinking about what I haven't done. I really don't.
Awesome. All right, well, that's a terrific question. And now on to the next one. I guess in terms of Grimlock, where did you find the center of who he is, his reason for being? Where did that evolve from in terms of the construction of his voice and his mentality and his personality?
In the original breakdown, some of the original description of the character, it said big muscle, small brain. And I just thought, big muscle, small brain. Big muscle, small brain. Big muscle, small brain. And I saw that the jaw was hinged for the first 6 or 8 weeks that I was doing him. I was literally restricting my jaw. I was hinging myself. I was restricting my movement. I was doing some crazy things in the booth that you can only do when you're audio recording, that you can never do live action. But that's the beauty of it. I've seen gyrations and things in recording booths that you wouldn't believe. But as long as the result is what you're seeking, then however you get there is how you get there. I've become, because of conventions again, good friends with Simon Furman and a lot of Transformers book animators, and I've heard about a lot of different evolutions of the Grimlock character, including some that say that he was smarter than he would let on, that sometimes he used being less bright than the rest of the group because it helped him do the things that he wanted. Well, that's an interesting way to go, too. But the thing that makes me closer to Grimlock than anything else is 3 words. Ready, fire, aim!
Oh, my God. That's wonderful.
Okay. That's amazing. Guys, seriously, this guy right here. So, let me ask you this in terms of Grimlock, since we're still here for just a little bit. On that note, do you ever find his voice creeping into your thoughts and the stuff that you do? Do you ever have conversations with him in your head? Like, no, Grimlock, we're not crushing his skull today.
Hold on, let me lay down on the couch. No. Happily, I'm able to navigate between characters and my own bad self.
That's terrific.
All right, let's see. Whenever you were doing the voice for Grimlock, for Orson, for the Littles, for Odie, you're not seen on screen, obviously. It's your voice that carries you in that sense. But have you ever, just for kicks, been out in public and just done the voice to see who notices and knows who you are? Or have you been like in different engagements and just kind of set it up and did like eyes brighten up, like just like ours did right now whenever you did the voice? Because seriously, it's a big, huge deal to hear something like that. Something that was such a part and parcel of who you were, right down to the marrow of your bones.
When my kids were little, I did great at birthday parties. But no, I've never tried, aside from at conventions when it's fun. But no, I'm very happy being me. The rest is just sort of characters on demand, but never just to turn a room full of heads.
Gotcha.
Unless it's toward my table on the convention floor.
So, in terms of like voice being an actor and you doing voices as part of your process, Did you ever use like warm-up methods for it for Grimlock, or do you just go right into that whole thing?
Oh, you've got to swing the heavy bat before you step up to the plate, and I did so for many, many, many years. Now, it's a different time. I don't know if you're familiar with a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, but the theory is that anyone is 10,000 hours from the mastery of any particular thing. Well, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I've done my 10,000 hours, and I can pick up the instrument and play it now. If I have time and the privacy and the ability to warm up, of course I warm up. Do I have to? No, I really do know my instrument. But I was compulsive about it, about vocalizing and just making sure it was warm, the instrument was warm, and kept an apple with me so that your teeth don't get all gummed up, and room temperature water, not ice water, and echinacea and golden seal and zinc, and just do the things. You have to decide. Everybody has to decide whether that thing that you do, that thing that you want to do, is it a hobby or is it a career? If it's a career, for heaven's sake, treat it with respect. And if it requires an investment, invest in it. If there's things you need to do to protect it, protect it. You don't, what do they say? Don't fly with the night owls and expect to rise with the eagles. You can't play both sides of every situation. You can't burn the candle at both ends, however cliche you want to make it. But yeah, I still do the things that feel like they make me the best me. And no apologies for that. It's just, this is what I do. So yeah, I'm protective about the things that are deserving of being protected. But as far as these weekends and this appreciation, and I guarantee you, I'll get back to LA and somebody will say, did you go to that thing that can, I'll say yes. They'll say, it must have been awful, the convention. And I'll say, you know what, it would have been awful for you jerk, because you would have gone there to hate it. You would have gone there to hate it. You would have found something to hate. And you know what, do everybody a favor and just shut up and move to the side and let everybody else move up one and just go away. I say, if I love it, I'll never not love it. People come to show their appreciation, and I go to show my appreciation. And anybody at any tier of the entertainment industry, or honestly any industry, who doesn't realize that you gain an audience one ticket at a time, one fan at a time, is just not paying attention. If you're fortunate enough to become identifiable in any field, and then to be just the loyalty over years is astonishing. People who take it for granted, frankly, make me sick. People who don't take it for granted, frankly, deserve it. And that's fantastic. But I really get put out with people that think it's all coming to them because they woke up this morning. It's ridiculous.
Well, on that absolutely stunning note, I'm going to open it up to audience questions. Is there anybody who has a question in the audience? Anybody who would like to ask the purveyor of Grimlock's voice anything important to your soul? Yes, ma'am, right there.
Okay. Here, I'm going to trade you. Here, if you'll come up here. Yes. It's okay. Here we go. There you go.
Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for being voice of my January childhood. Appreciate it. And
I told you I still haven't decided what I want to be when I grow up. So.
I hate you, so there you go. So thanks for Odie and Orson and everybody else.
Squeak the mouse, and Harry the alley cat, Herman the mailman.
7 years old already. So, any good Mel Blanc stories? Because I really like it.
Well, yeah, pretty good.
We'll let another one.
In that Jetsons session that I was mentioning, and who better than him, who more deserving, but he fell asleep during the session. And Gordon Hunt, very politely, was attempting to wake him up. He was sitting next to me, and Gordon Hunt said, Mel, I heard in my real life, Mel Blanc wake up as Mr. Spacely. So right after that last Mel that I just said, I heard this. Jetson! Thank you for asking. That's one of my favorite stories of all time.
I was wondering how the conversation go between Odie and Grimlock.
All right, next question.
So, when you guys worked together, what was Chris Lotta like?
Chris Lotta was a creative dynamo, and if he didn't have his work to put that dynamism into, he could be a very challenging person, very he would test people. I passed his tests very early on, and I feel really good about that. But he would be sort of gruff with people, and then he'd burst out laughing. As long as he had a character and a script to put everything into, he'd give 150%. He could star scream all day, all night. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stand-up. It was very aggressive, abrasive stand-up. He was a dynamo. That's the best way I can put it. I liked him very much. I think he was somebody who really needed a creative outlet for all of that energy. I think he had more energy than he knew what to do with. He was an artist. Temperamental artist.
Yeah, what is your secret to this positivity? I mean, seriously. I mean, you kind of glossed over your family, but they had to have been amazing to be that positive all the time. Are they hippies? Are you serious?
I'm the hippie. I was at Woodstock.
No.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, man. My parents were phenomenal people. I was blessed with parents who taught me to believe that I could be whatever I thought I could believe. When I was 16, my parents said, we've had 16 years to teach you why we are who we are, why we believe what we believe. anything you can justify to yourself from this point forward, we'll do our best to support. And I said, I'm going to be an actor, and they said, good luck. And I said, I mean, whatever I said, they always had my back. And we've attempted to do that with our kids, who are now adults. And I don't understand anyone who's not. I don't know what it is that makes someone not be positive. I don't understand what it is that makes someone not be supportive. You got one life that you know of. You got one family that you know of. You got one circle of loved ones that you know of. Be supportive. I mean, what's the fun in tearing somebody down, really?
All right.
I just wanted to know what's one thing you learned from working with Peter Cullen as Optimus.
Learned from? I just know it's great to work with great people. I just know, like I know from everybody in that circle of people that those of us who are in the voice community tend to be well read, because basically what we are is readers. I know that the voice community has the worst coffee, the dirtiest jokes, the best schmooze and gossip, and some of the most competent, grounded reads and session etiquette of any aspect of the entire entertainment industry. It's a really disciplined group of people, those of us who continue to work.
All right. So any other questions? Got room for maybe one more? Nope.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, please, big, warm round of applause, please. Sir, thank you for being with us.
Yeah,
thank you for
man.
being a part of
You're
this.
Mike.
Absolutely.
And like I said, he's at his table for the rest of the day. You'll be here tomorrow as well. So go and see him, have a chat, have him do some cool voices, buy some stuff from him. He needs to eat pork chops too, just like the rest of us, all right? All right. Thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate it.
Yay!